Welcome to the Fantasy NASCAR podcast brought to you by racefortheprize.com. Let's look at the Xfinity series. Get ready for the Charlotte race coming up this weekend. We will recap last year's Charlotte race, run through a couple optimal lineups. But first, if you want to get access to the Fantasy NASCAR spreadsheet, June package, $30. I will throw in Charlotte. June and July, $55. Your whole summer taken care of, saving you tons of time, making it easy for you to play Fantasy NASCAR at DraftKings. $55. No commitments. Just send Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. Get it taken care of. Awesome. Here's your optimal lineup. You got Allgaier. You got Nemechek. Then you got Parker Retzlaff scoring third most fantasy points. Ty Gibbs, a third hog. And we could get three hogs, but more than likely, in most cases, in the Xfinity series, a lot of times you can only afford two. You get three guys cycling to the lead. Austin Hill slides in there by running up front all day, getting fast side points, getting place differential. Not surprising to see an expensive pay up at PD. And then we get Sieg and Hosever jumping in there. Burton is highlighted. We'll explain that in situation. So as we recap last year's race, you'll remember because of rain Memorial Day weekend, and we could have rain again this weekend, the race is on Monday morning and then actually Monday night after the Coca-Cola 600. Kind of weird, and it gets weirder throughout the race. We'll explain that here in a second. Again, two hogs, you got a place differential guy, and we have some extreme value that comes through. We'll explain why this works out. Again, if you have the Fantasy NASCAR spreadsheet, you can always get more context by reading these notes over here to the left. We'll just pull up the lap-by-lap data, one of the great features of the Fantasy NASCAR spreadsheet. $55. Come on, get in on that. So Allgaier is your leader at first. He then loses the lead after the competition caution on pit road. And that is how all of our lead changes are going to happen during this race. John Hunter Nemechek cycles to the lead. Actually, though, he does get passed by Ty Gibbs, the faster car. So I was wrong there. There is one pass to the lead, Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs then runs away to stage two. So no one passes the leader when Ty Gibbs now has the lead. So Allgaier before the competition caution. Nemechek, then Gibbs gets the lead. Then Gibbs has a radio issue. They got to take the steering wheel off. He loses a bunch of spots during that pit stop. And we go back to Nemechek taking the lead, and he will run with the lead in stage three until our next caution, and then our next caution restart goes to Allgaier on lap 134, and this is where the race gets weird. We still have 65 laps to go. Allgaier wins the restart, he pulls ahead, pulls away, and then it turns into a fuel mileage race. And so this will change the finishing position based on your strategy. Allgaier is able to coast at home, does not pit, makes it work. Nemechek, same thing. He's saving fuel, nothing he can do. Allgaier wins this race by 7 seconds, not by fluke. He pulled ahead, got a huge lead, and just maintained that lead. Custer also saves fuel, and he is able to finish third. Gets a couple spots because he decides not to pit, whereas maybe Hill and Gibbs probably would have been your third place drivers. They decide to play it safe. They hit pit road. Custer makes it work. Custer also recovers from a pit road incident early in the race that buries him deeper in the field, as you can see here. But he drives all the way back, has no problem recovering and getting back up there, saves fuel. Again, not surprised to see the top three from 2023 finishing where they finish. Austin Hill probably loses a spot by playing it safe, but also kind of saves his day by pitting a little bit earlier here on lap 182. Gibbs pits a little bit later, loses a spot or two, probably, obviously could have had a race-winning day, but because of his issue, falls back, and the race ultimately goes to Allgaier. Then we look at Parker Retzlaff finishing 6th, Jeb Burton finishing 7th. They both had top 15 cars. Jordan Anderson cars have typically been pretty fast at Charlotte in the past, so highlight the Jordan Anderson cars moving forward. 15th place car, but because they save fuel, end up finishing 6th and 7th and gain some spots from guys that can't make it work. Carson Hosever has a really good day in that Bassett Bros car. The Bassett Bros car ran really well last year at Darlington, I believe, and also, again, had a good day all day. Average running position of 10th. He finishes 8th. Likely could have finished a little bit better, but because of running out of fuel, 6th place turns into 8th place. Still a pretty good day. And then He'll later wreck that car, and so I don't think the Bassett brothers have any more, and so tough luck. They had a pretty good car when they had it. Brendan Jones is having a pretty decent day. He'll finish a little bit down from what he should have because he too has to pit, and so he concedes some spots, and those are spots for Retzlaff, those are for Burton. Same thing for Sammy Smith. Kyle Sieg also is able to stretch fuel, not as well as the others, but still finishes much better than where he probably was going to. Still pretty good day for Kyle Sieg. Justin Haley, same thing. 10th place turns into more of a 12th place because he too is saving fuel in this race. Anyone else that we want to note? Oh, well, might as well look at these other drivers. So, again, boosting Retzlaff and Burton, which they didn't even need an incredible boost, but they did get it because guys like Chandler Smith has to pit. Riley Herbst doesn't pit. He stretches fuel and has a pretty good day, but that was after a stage 3 wreck that did not bring out a caution. So pretty good recovery from Riley Herbst. Top 10 car, wrecks, but stretches fuel and ultimately gets a 14th place finish. Not bad. Barry, top 10 car, is going to finish 15th because, again, running out of fuel. Kaz Grala, same thing, has to pit. That pretty much is really all we need to highlight from this race. Ended up being a fuel mileage, but again, like no surprise. Allgaier and Nemechek Custer. The usual suspects at the top. You end up with 2 hogs. There were 3 people who cycled the lead, but you couldn't afford them because they were expensive options, and you got some place differential, and there's your value explained, and there's your cars that are to watch for in Jordan Anderson. We'll look at 22. Usual suspects at the top. We got a Josh Berry in a Junior Motorsports car leading a bunch of laps. We got a Justin Allgaier in a Junior Motorsports car, also optimal, leading a bunch of laps. Ty Gibbs, an obvious place differential pay-up option. Much better, clearly, than the Austin Hill in 2023. That gets you 13, but I'll take 13 place differential points from a top-tier driver. I'll absolutely take 34 from a top-tier driver. Gregson has a pretty good day, but again, like I said, we'll do some hides here. On 2 place differential, we'll probably have 3 guys that cycle, but you more than likely can't afford all 3. So if I'm building right now, looking at 2023 and 2022 Xfinity Series optimal lineups, probably only want to allot 2 of my expensive picks towards place differential in this series. Third guy, probably can't get him in, but again, we have to see where the value shapes up. Mike Snyder, 23 place differential points, starting 33rd at 6,800. Who's he driving for? You guessed it, Jordan Anderson. Ryan Ellis is also 29th, 6,500. Now, you're like, oh, Jordan Anderson, average running position of 19th. Why? Well, if you look at his stats, pretty solid season in that 44 car in 2022. So if you go back through his 2022 year, especially at the intermediate tracks, that car ran pretty well. He ran pretty well. So not a surprise to see him running at the top of the mid-pack and to get a finish of 13th. Again, you throw in cautions at the end of a race. Not that crazy for these guys to boost up, especially when we throw in some attrition. And then we got to scroll down a little bit. We'll find CJ McLaughlin as your punt du jour, starting 35th. Huge savings. Doesn't really do anything running in 29th, but just simply through attrition, which we can see in an Xfinity Series race, where we get tons of cars wrecking out. In this one in particular, we have 12 DNFs. Now, technically, it's like 11 DNFs. So one guy was 30 laps down. He was running at the finish, but for all intents and purposes, 12 DNFs. That's 12 spots that basically he gains from starting 35th. He doesn't really have to do anything other than not die. He didn't have to do anything other than don't wreck. And sometimes that's a little bit of a stretch for CJ, but either way, there it is. Hey, you got 12 place differential points. Yeah, just because 12 guys didn't finish. But that's always a scenario and outcome. It's reminiscent of Dawson Cram. Now, I don't think Dawson Cram has really worked this year in JD Motorsports in an optimal lineup, but there is always that option of Cram at 4,600. You cram him in, and it allows you to spend up and get a haul gear. You cram in, cram, and then you can overspend for a giant place differential play. It can work. It did work. And I expect that this is a good place for it to happen at Charlotte if you know the dynamics of the track, and you very well could get plenty of wrecks here at Charlotte. A tighter intermediate track. Anything of note here, you've got Ryan Preece in an SHR prep car, Bailey Curry with a good run for JD Motorsports, Garrett Smithley with a good run for Gosselin, and then strangely enough, we'll see JJ Yaley or these Carl Long cars at Charlotte for whatever reason have pretty decent days. It's quite a phenomenon. Now this weekend he's got a truck running. I think he might also be in the ARCA series. Carl Long just unloading all of his equipment in Charlotte this weekend, so we'll see how that goes. We'll look at 2021. Tons of cautions, not quite as many DNFs, but we basically got 10 DNFs in this one. So again, that's 10 attrition points for a punt starting in the back. You got Brandon Brown gets you 28 place differential, not a bad play, ends up scoring the most fantasy points. We got Hog 1 in Ty Gibbs. We got Hog 2 in Chase Briscoe in our optimal lineup. Then we got our spin up place differential play. It's not 30-some points like Ty Gibbs. It's not even as much as Austin Hill gave us in the 2023 race, but still, it's decent. So, Hog 1, Hog 2, place differential, kind of a place differential from the value, and then our value here in Alex LeBay at 6,400. Running around 23rd, hanging on to that lead lap. All the wrecks at the end, he boosts up to 14th. And as you know, he's with Gosselin. And then Jesse Little gets a BJ McLeod there. Now you see his average running position 28th. That is the no zone. That is a dangerous spot. You get lapped down and you fall out of the race. You fall out of contention. Once you get laps down, you cannot get that boost at the end, or you don't get much of a boost at the end. If you're on the lead lap, you're racing with those last guys on the final restart, you grab 3 or 4 more spots and you get the boost. You get the attrition boost, but then you get that final restart boost by being on the lead lap. Really need a better average running position, but he's able to make it work because, as you see in the notes, he got himself there. 2 lucky dogs at 4,600. He is your punt du jour once again. And by punting here, you can afford to spend up for Ty Gibbs, Chase Briscoe, and we actually leave a ton of money on the table. I'd like to see this optimal lineup get run again, but looks like that's the only way that it works, because everybody else appears is slightly too much more expensive. You can't afford to get them in your lineup. Things worth noting, you got Tyler Reddick running for Jordan Anderson, having a solid day. Landon Castle, good day for JD. Whoa, they had some nice cars. Ty Dillon running for our Motorsports. Here you go, Chad Fincham scoring 14th most fantasy points for Carl Long. He also got 2 lucky dogs. Average running position is actually a little bit better than Jesse Little. Finish was a little bit better than Jesse Little, but price wasn't there, and he started a little bit closer to the front. Who else we got worth noting here? Ryan Vargas, good day for BJ. And you got Daniel Hemrick not finishing after being a hog, changes the optimal lineup. General trend, way to spend. If I'm building a fantasy NASCAR lineup in the Xfinity series, 2 hogs, then I am glad to pay for place differential. If I can afford a 3rd hog for whatever reason based on salary, then fine. But generally the trend has been you can really only afford 2, and then the 3rd is a slightly cheaper option that gives you place differential. Then you've got a driver that's kind of value towards mid-tier who gives you place differential. And then we get the value plays. They're typically just hang on there, buddy. Now, it could be 2 values that are hang on there, buddy, and then get some attrition and restart boosts at the end. Or we get 1 value like a LeBay here. Hang on there, buddy. Stay on the lead lap. Get the boost at the end, along with the punt option that gives you maximum savings. I'd say that's probably going to be something we lean into this weekend at Charlotte. Taking one of the super cheapies, hoping for cautions and wrecks, get the attrition, hope that your super cheapie doesn't have a mechanical failure, survives, gets the 12 place differential just by running to the finish, and finishes much better than when they run. So TLDR, 2 hogs, 2 PD, value, punt. 2 hogs or dominators, 2 PD, spend accordingly. The value, which doesn't have to really maximize finishing position, just need them to hang on the lead lap, win the battle with the mid pack, get the boost at the end. Could be any of those heroes in that Le Mans class. And then from the very bottom, the depths of the earth, I'll take a CJ McLaughlin. I'll take a Jesse Little. I'll take a Carl Long Cruiser. You name it. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully this has helped you out. RaceForThePrize.com, Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. It's all on the screen right there. It's in the description below. $30 for June, throw in Charlotte. Or just get it all taken care of now, not have to worry about it anymore. $55 for June and July, and I'll throw in Charlotte. Sounds good to me. Thanks for joining me. Blessed to have you guys around. Love you guys. Trip the light. Fantastic.